All right, welcome to day 2 of week of May 11th through the 15th. This for today, we're going to go over literary devices, just 3 of them, and do a little practice. It's pretty straightforward. So, first, I want to touch on what is the difference between literary elements and literary devices. So, literary elements are things like the setting we're working on this week, plot. So, it's basically literary elements tend to be the structure of the story, whereas literary devices, also known as figurative language, are the way that the wording and phrases are used to write your story, right? They give the story style, depth, and personality. And often they aren't meant to be, some are meant to be non-literal, right? Like a pun or metaphor. So that requires for a reader to be able to decipher, to be able to see the nuances, to understand it. Other examples of literary devices are analogies, personification, irony. Today we're going to go over 3 of those. I did include some imagery, but we talked a whole bunch about imagery, which is use of strong sensory detail. You did that for day 1 in Guess My Setting. So just a little bit more information on that. Metaphor, right? And I know we've talked about this in class. A metaphor, metaphors are used all the time, right? In literature, people use them in science to explain complex topics and business. So, metaphors compare 2 ideas that aren't necessarily connected so that the reader might apply the quality of one idea that they know better to the idea of another, to another idea that they might not know as well. So, for example, metaphor example, the road was a ribbon of moonlight. So if you're very, a road is something that's common, people see a lot, they kind of can visualize it, and then they can say, oh, was a ribbon of moonlight. Oh, it looked like how moonlight might, stream in a non-linear way. So it gives you a good picture of that in your mind. There are other metaphors if you want to look at. I linked this to a video that shows a ton of metaphors and similes. Simile is a type of metaphor, right? That's comparing 2 ideas but using like or as. So, for example, the sun was like a large ball of butter, right? Sun equals butter. They are not really similar in any way in that you're trying to maybe how they look, right? The sun is a hot, big celestial object. Butter is something, a dairy product you consume, but you're trying to get a picture of what a sun was like. And brave. Bob is as brave as a lion, right? Bob equals lion. So you're comparing the 2. What is Bob like? He is like a lion in his bravery, not in any other way, right? Just that quality. All right, so the third literary device we're going to use today is personification. And that is when you give something that is an inanimate object or a non-human creature, human-like qualities. So here is an example. The wind stood up and gave a shout. He whistled on his fingers and kicked the withered leaves about and thumped the branches with his hand. So, why do we use personification? It can make non-human objects and ideas more relatable, right? Because we are just so innately interested in humans and we watch them all the time, that when you personify something that's not a human, you feel closer to it. You can visualize it or understand it better. It also makes them seem more vivid. So personification. Here's another example of personification, right? We see personification in advertisements all the time. So if we were in class, we would discuss this image, right? Here is Gatorade. What are they trying to show in this advertisement? That Gatorade is more powerful than other drinks, right? And they personify it by making it like a boxer, like it just knocks out the other drink. So you can relate to that a little more. So pretty straightforward, I think, literary devices. This week, what I want you to do, or for day 2, is to write your own example of a metaphor, a simile, and personification using complete sentences. So you can either write 3 separate examples, or you can link them together to describe a single person, object, or location. Ooh, location might be good for your setting. Write your description on the literary device practice discussion board. All right. And if you have extra time and you like to draw, why don't you could draw a picture of one of the literary devices and attach it to your post. All right. Thank you very much. See you soon.